is doing here. He's closing his argument. Paul has been making an argument as if he was in front of a jury. He's making an argument as if he was in front of a judge, appealing his case. And we'll go over and we'll see that. And he's making his final argument, pleading for the people to understand and to believe. Therefore, in verse 28, therefore we conclude that man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. It is he that God, is he the God of the Jews only? Is he not also of the Gentiles? Yes, of the Gentiles also. So there must be a argument in Rome saying that God is the God only of the Jews, seeing it is one God which shall justify the circumcised by faith, the circumcised referring to the Jews, and the uncircumcised through faith, the uncircumcised referring to the Gentiles. He is talking to both groups here. And the Jews are concerned because the Gentiles are without law. And that's what the circumcision was of. The circumcision of the outward flesh was for the law. In 31, he's confirming, do we then make void the law through faith? No, we establish the law. You had to go back to chapter 2, and we'll go over that in a summary, where what was the law for? In chapter 3 above, it was to close everyone's mouth. It was to show that all are guilty. So if someone wants to live a fleshly life, we show them the law because that's what they're going to receive. But if you follow the flesh, and he'll get in that. So in chapter 1, you'll see that his appealing to come to them was great. And he gave his credentials in chapter 1. He tells in 16, I'm not ashamed of the gospel, for it is the power of God unto salvation to everyone that believes, first to the Jew, then to the Greek. He goes into the creation of the world from the very beginning, how the world is made from an invisible God, not being seen, yet the invisible God made what is physical to us. Hebrews chapter 11, very first verse. He goes into Adam and Eve and how they did not glorify God as God and gave over to their vain imaginations, and wickedness just crept in. He goes into how man just kept getting darker and darker and darker. And in 28, this was the final condition of man. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, they trusted in their own knowledge, not the Spirit as we have been given. God gave them over to reprobate minds, to do those things which are not convenient. And these were the things that they were given over to. These are the things that you should not really be given over to, because they were given over to sin. You've been given over to righteousness. You've been given over to honor and obey, to do good. Chapter 2 gets into judging other people. And it also gets into harden the heart. What is your treasure in heaven? Is it thy hardness? If we judge another person wrongly, won't God also judge us by that standard? And he will. He will render every man according to his deeds. In the latter part of this, he gets into circumcision and how it's not a circumcision of the flesh, but a circumcision of the heart. where God promised he would take a stony heart out and he would put a heart of flesh in. The top is still on circumcision. So what does it profit to be a Jew? It profits a Jew because they receive the utterances of God, oracles, or when God spoke, the Ten Commandments. Yeah, that profit the Jews. They held on to that. What profit a Christian? I know Paul has not gotten into that yet, right? But this would lead someone to think boastful about being a Jew. We have the mind of Christ. Christ came and taught. We have the very teachings of God. Now, they may have the utterances when they were in Mount Sinai, but we actually have the mind of Christ. We have the teachings of God that we follow. In verse 11 through 18, we have the sicknesses. He is not speaking to the Christian. We know God. We have God within our heart. That's why we are able to love other people and be kind to other people and forgive other people. We have had that heart exchanged. So Paul is describing the sickness of man. There is none that understand, there is none that seek after God. They are all gone out of the way. They are together become unprofitable. That's talking about how the fall of man. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Their throat is an open sculpture, which with their tongues they have used deceit. The poison of asp is under their lips, Matthew 23, whose mouth is full of cursing and bitterness, showing the condition of that heart, right? The stony heart. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Again, a description. Destruction and misery are in their ways. So this is the treasures they store up. It's hard times. And the way of peace they have not known. See, the Spirit that leads us is that way of peace. There is no fear of God in their eyes. You can see how Paul is progressing through each chapter, and he's laying every stone, foundation, to where you cannot move it. It's a full structure, strong. We will get into chapter 4 next. I haven't done it, as you can see. I go as I go. But this is the faith of Abraham. Paul is fixing to lay out what faith is, what the definition of believe is. It's a really good chapter. God bless y'all.